2021 was another challenging year for Calgary. Smoke from wildfires, extreme cold temperatures, and of course the pandemic that impacted every single Calgarian. But those experiencing homelessness faced it all without a shelter. I spoke with the executive director of the Calgary Homeless Foundation about the highs and lows for our city's most vulnerable this year. So now that we're in the second year of the pandemic, what were you able to take from 2020 and use in 2021?
Yeah, so many lessons learned from the first year of the pandemic. I mean, first of all, the level of collaboration among so many organizations was unprecedented. Action of agencies created the assisted self-isolation hotel, of which 700 people used it and 200 actually were housed from there. We all came together and said, let's park our ego at the door and do what's right for people experiencing homelessness so they can self-isolate and feel safe and healthy.
Jones says the pandemic created an urgency to house people like never before and led to a substantial win.
We have housed more people in 2020 and 2021 than we have in Calgary's history. That's amazing. So with continued funding, with continued flexibility, with continued collaboration, I can see it continuing to happen.
And I know that you aren't working in the shelters, but what are you seeing from people that are working in this sector? And what are you seeing from the front line? Is there any burnout?
We've been in a long-term pandemic. It's making staff tired. I can tell you from talking to service providers, they're as worried about the mental health of staff as they are of the people they serve. And so at a time when, we're required to give a little bit more, we're at our most fatigued. So we're doing our best to try and support them as much as possible.
Addiction is in the foundation of a homeless population. 2020 broke a new record for the deadliest year in the opioid poisoning crisis. And with a lethal supply on the streets, 2021 is on track to be even deadlier than last year.
Our stats show on average in the last 5 years, people self-report whether they're taking opioids, and it's anywhere between 79 and 70% of people we serve.
There has been a polarizing debate around harm reduction, advocates vehemently calling for more funding for it. But the UCP government instead placing a larger focus on recovery.
I think there needs to be an emphasis on doing what's right for people at the time they need it, and to get polarized into different approaches doesn't work. I think we look at people and say, what do you need to be well? And every individual is different, and we need to customize the service to them.
And a milestone moment in 2021, dignity given to this population, was the unveiling of this memorial for those experiencing homelessness, located right here in Victoria Park, surrounded by several shelters. Jones spoke at the unveiling ceremony.
I hope it serves to remind us all that every Calgarian deserves the respect and humanity of life, of having a healthy life and a healthy grieving death.
The city of Calgary launched its 10-year plan to end homelessness in 2008. But in 2018, almost 3,000 people were found to be living in homelessness still. In the last 2 life-altering years, Jones says it's given the agencies who are fighting homelessness a new outlook, even though they're up against so much more.
What I see different this year is people really willing to step up and say, we're going to park our titles, we're going to park our ego, and we're going to do different for people. So I think there's an appetite to change the structures and the systems so people can be served in a way that's humane, because when people are in the darkest hours of their life, they need someone who's going to be kind and reach out and say, we're here for you and we're going to journey with you, and we will listen and figure it out together.
In Calgary, Taylor Brott, City News.